Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wandering Podcast, where we take advisement from outside the box. I'm Rihanna Ritter, your host. I'm an intuitive, sexuality, and authentic expression coach. Are you an accomplished professional who plays the part of having it all figured out? Who's strong for everyone else, but feels lonely, misunderstood, like you can't tell anybody the truth about how stressed you are, how not passionate you are about your life and all that you've created? I guide my clients to deep, lasting fulfillment. I re-engage them with their bodies, their pleasure, their desire. I help them align to enjoy fulfillment and prosperity in all areas of their lives. Hello, my guest today is Jen Rulon. She's a 15-time Ironman triathlete and is now a coach using her Empower Her group coaching program, as well as one-on-one group coaching. Thank you, Jen, for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Rihanna. I appreciate you.
Yeah. So how did you end up being a triathlete and studying kinesiology? What was your childhood influence like, and what led you down that path?
Sure. I actually talked about this at a TEDx talk, but it was 1989. I was watching the Ironman World Championship on the ABC Wide World of Sports. And so if you're my age, you may remember that tagline, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And you see the skier going tumbling down that hill. But the Ironman World Championship was on that day. What is an Ironman? It's a 2.4 mile swim, 112-mile bike, and a marathon run. And that day was Dave Scott and Mark Allen. These two guys were running. They were during that race, they were just neck and neck, just constant. All of a sudden you see Mark Allen's mind just clicked, and he just surges and takes off. And you sit there and you're like, what the heck? How did this guy do this? But then the cool thing is that an hour later, Paula Newby Frazier, the first female, crossed the finish line. And I thought to myself, wow, like everybody is on the same path. They're men and women. They're all swimming, biking, and running. They're dealing with all of the same elements. And I thought, how amazing is that? And I realized that that was something I wanted to do. I wanted to do the Ironman World Championship in Hawaii. So that year, I went to my grandpa and I said, Grandpa, I want to do the Ironman World Championship in Hawaii. And he goes, well, when you go, I'll go with you. I love Hawaii. I've been there. I went there during World War II, blah, blah, blah. Let's go. And so that was always in my head, that I was going to go to Hawaii. And yeah. And then we could talk about the rest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you begin like conditioning a lot, working out a lot? Were you in sports?
Yeah. So I was 17 years old when I said that. Now, the ironic thing about this all is that I absolutely hated running. I did.
I can relate.
Yeah, I was terrible at it. I was always the last run, or the second to last runner for the presidential mile run that we had to do. And I still remember the path that we had to do. It was awful. And then it was interesting. I played group sports. And so I played softball, I played volleyball, and then I was a cheerleader. So I never was that active runner, swimmer, biker. I love the lake, the water. Like, that was very natural for me. I was a water baby. I was a fish in the water. I loved swimming, that type of thing. So that came very natural to me. And then my town was so tiny that I'd bike everywhere around town in Whitewater, Wisconsin. And then I thought, well, I guess I should start running. And so I remember putting on my Nike Air Pegasus. And I thought, all right, I grew up in Whitewater, Wisconsin. It was a tiny, tiny town. And from my house to Fremont Street was 1 mile. Down was 1 mile, and back. So I just put on my shoes and I thought, all right, I'm going to start running. So I ran down to Fremont Street and then came back. And I kept doing that. My first let's move forward. My first Ironman was in 2002 at Ironman, Wisconsin. So I actually said I was going to do an Ironman by the time I was 30. I was 6 weeks before my 31st birthday, but it wasn't the Ironman World Championship. So I knew I had some more work to do.
Okay. That
Yeah.
must have been really interesting for like your schoolmates seeing you like in PE being the second to last in the running to now a triathlete.
Well, but it's funny because I was talking to my brother's coworker who is like a 50K or 20, marathon runner. And he like literally this past like 2 weeks ago, I was in Michigan and the my brother's coworker was like, why didn't you tell me your sister's a badass? Like she does 15 Ironmans. And he goes, because I'm embarrassed because I don't work out like she does. Like, and he goes, she never ran. She never did any sports. And I go, I did do sports. And he goes, yeah, but it was softball and a cheerleader and volleyball. And I go, you're right. And here, here he was the quarterback of the football team and played baseball and all that stuff. And then here, like, it's almost like we switched roles. And he's like, I'm embarrassed because she's crazy. Like I think, you always hear about like, if you're not good at something, you put in, what is it, 10,000 hours of what you're doing. And I got really good at running. And that was where I caught a lot of athletes, a lot of women on the race course by my running because I got really good at it.
Wow. And then,
Yeah.
so you, obviously that takes a lot of determination. Like
Yes.
you,
And a little craziness, right?
yeah, you had to have been doing a lot of running, especially if you're really just starting it out at 17. It's not like something
Yeah.
that you've done forever. It's
Correct.
yeah. So then
Correct.
you went on to coach women who wanted to do triathlons. What was one of the motivations that these different women, or what are some of them? I bet they all
Yeah.
have something else
Yeah.
different.
Well, the great thing was in my triathlon space, I coach men and women. So it was it was very natural. Like a lot of clients came to me and they started seeing my story. They started seeing that hero story, that girl who hated running and all of a sudden was like, wow, she's done 5 Ironmans, she's done 6 Ironmans. So they start seeing that story. I talk about Anna all the time. I used to work at a triathlon store in San Antonio, Texas, and I had Anna and her husband came in the store and we started talking and she goes, I want to do a half Ironman. I want to do an Ironman. I'm like, oh my God, that's great. She goes, but I can't swim. I'm like, oh no, you're fine. We'll figure it out. So I meet her at the pool and Rihanna, like she could not swim. Like I'm telling you, she could not swim. It was crazy. And I was like, oh man. And she tells the story fantastic because she's Argentinian. She's got that thick accent, and she talks super fast, but her story's fantastic because I was like, oh, she really can't swim. Well, then a year later, she did her first half Ironman and then did an Ironman. So
Wow.
yeah, and I've had guys. I had a guy, Sean, same thing. He's like, I can sort of swim, but I'm horrified of open water. So we would go out to a lake it was called Bernie Lake outside of San Antonio, Texas. And Sean and I would meet every couple of weeks. And I would take a noodle and I would just float with him and just help him along the way. And if he freaked out, he held on to that noodle. And about a year later, he did his first and only Ironman. So it's just something that yeah, a lot of the clients that I work with are very determined and ready to accomplish that. So it's been a beautiful journey because I've seen a lot of men and women cross that finish line with a smile because that's my tagline. So it's something that I've always talked about. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So some of them are just overcoming fears. Some of them are, it's just something, outside of career, and that's
Yes.
an
Yeah.
achievement. That's
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing that I see with a lot of my runners and my triathletes, there are a lot of professionals and moms that have that crazy busy schedule that they're like, you know what? I need you to come in, tell me what to do because I have enough going on in my life as a doctor and as anesthesiologist. I've had many nurses over like a night shift nurses that have asked me for help. It's interesting. I've had entrepreneurs and lawyers that have asked me. It's those ones that are like they need something else other than their vocation.
yeah. And those jobs that you're describing in particular are high stress, right?
Very much.
And getting that's so when you're stressed like that, so often you don't complete the stress response cycle because um, you're not running from a threat that's trying to kill you. You're just
Right.
just trying to do your
That's
job.
true. That's true. Yeah.
So doing like vigorous exercise, something that really is a really good way to move some of that stress through your body and process it,
hmm
right?
hmm And I think too, I think that this is something that I realized I missed until I actually started surfing is that you step away from this. Like when you're in the pool, you're not looking at your phone. You're not on the computer. And that was something that when I started surfing, because I live in Costa Rica, I was like, oh, I missed this because I did that for so many years. I was on the bike, I was swimming, I was running. I took my phone for safety aspects of things, but I stepped away from life.
Yeah. And the phone
Yeah.
it's a challenge because anybody can get a hold of you at any time. When we used to have landlines, we had
Right.
time to be in silence, like
Yeah. Yeah.
without looking
Right.
at things like ads and people texting and,
Yeah.
always. It's interesting how
Exactly.
we can get so addicted to that external validation, like those notifications. Is somebody
Yes.
trying to get a hold of me?
Yep. Yep. And even like yesterday, I went down the rabbit hole of just looking at stuff and I'm like, okay, you need to put your phone away. You've been on the phone for almost 2 hours just scrolling and figuring out what was happening in the world. And I'm like, stop. You can't control it, but you can control your actions and your decisions. And so it was like, all right, what are you going to do? You're going to start making content for people. What do they want? What do they want to see? What do they want to see? Do they want to see how to think like a mindset of an Ironman triathlete? Do they want to see fitness? Do they want to see nutrition? So yeah, it was like it's crazy how you have to shift the mind from going down that ongoing scrolling and really taking care of your health mentally and physically.
Yeah. And so when you're in a triathlon, you're doing these events. Like I think if anybody has run any distance, you know that your like muscles are stiff and it's really hard to get into it. And then at some point, like you pass that threshold where your
Yeah.
throat is not the burning and all the stuff going on. It just doesn't matter
Yeah.
anymore. And you're ready to
Yeah.
just keep going. What are some of the things like that you help clients overcome? Because the mind will tell you, you need to stop.
Yeah.
We can't do
Oh
this.
yeah. Oh yeah. I always think about the movie Animal House. I'm probably dating myself and it's not the best analogy, but there's like a little angel and a little devil on the shoulder. And they're sitting there talking to you. Like the angel is giving you all this power and supporting you along the way. And then this little devil sitting there like, oh, you're slow. Why are you even going to finish this? And so there have been times where I would be on the race course and I would hear this angel cheering me on, and then I'd hear this devil, and I'd be like, "Will you shut up?" And I would like literally look at my shoulder, and I'd be like, "Flick him off!" Like I visually had to flick him off, and be like, "I'm done with you today. Like
I
I
love
still
that.
have, I still have whatever 10 more miles to go. Like I don't need you." And then all of a sudden, like at mile 23, oh, guess who comes fluttering back, and I was like, wait a minute, like it's like I'm having this ongoing conversation with myself out there on the race course. And I actually had this vision that it was for the race that I did. It was at Ironman Mont Tremblant in Canada. And it was where I qualified finally for the Ironman World Championship 28 years later. I qualified and participated 28 years later, but I I visualized myself as Miss Pac-Man. So when I was running, I would take the energy from the people out there. But then when I saw women in my age group, because we used to have the ages on our calves, that would be my power, like that dot that would give me more power. So like when I and then so the last 2 miles, I just kicked it in. I just stepped it in, and I was like going past women in my age group, and I heard myself saying gulp, 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 and I kept like I was eating that. I was taking in that energy that they were providing. And across the finish line, I placed third in my age group. And the next day, I got the opportunity to say yes. I want to go to Hawaii, and it was beautiful. But it's crazy, the mindset. I always forget about these little things that I've done over the years, and it's super helpful because that can apply to everyday life too. You know, you check off one task, you're like, bam, I got that task done. I got that task done. Okay, I got to go pick up my kids. I got to go do this, whatever that might be. Like it's you know, the Miss Pac-Man energy is very powerful.
I love that visualization. It's fun and
Yeah, it is.
and it highlights how important it is to do visualization. I think
Yes.
I hear all the time people saying that they can't visualize, and I have a hard time believing that if you hear the word apple, you can't picture what an apple looks like. I mean, I think we're overcomplicating what visualization means. It's just
For
picturing
sure.
something, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And I think too, it's just like training your body to run, training your mind, training your heart to bike and swim. You have to also train the mind. And every time I ran, when I would stop or when I would like slow down in front of my house, I would always put my arms up and say, Jen Rulon, you are an Ironman. And I would always visualize that every single run because I could see. And then it got to a point where I started seeing the finisher line because I've done so many of them. I could start hearing Mike Riley say, Jen Rulon, you've done, you know, you're an Ironman triathlete, you're an Ironman. My last Ironman in 2019, I started putting together some numbers that I wanted to accomplish. And I told myself I was going to do a 10:47:23. I crossed the finish line at a 10:47:46. 23 seconds off from I wish I would have written that down. I'm so mad, but I know that's what I visualized. Yeah.
yeah, so that's the major part of winning. Obviously, you got to do the work. You have to, if you get off the couch and try to do a triathlon, it's probably not going to go well.
Yeah.
But visualizing is probably half of it. It's that, you know, visualize hitting great shots. Like for golf, people,
for sure.
Oh my gosh, we get in our head and we try to get all technical about this swing and that, and my arms need to be over here. And it's like, at some point when you do that, you're not even there present with the ball and the club, and you need to just visualize the shot that you want to hit.
Yes.
Where you want it to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely not a golfer. I'm a little putt golfer, but that's about it. That's impressive. Yeah. That's a whole, but once again, you're right. You want to visualize the trajectory. You want to visualize, you know, seeing that ball go over the tree. If you've done that course before or whatever, like, you know, like maybe you have like on hole 5, there's this tree that your ball always goes in, something like that. Right. And then all of a sudden, like you go up to that, we go up to the ball and all of a sudden you're like, all right, ball, you're going to go over that tree this time because we're going to make it happen. And, it's just getting in that habit of saying that every time you get to hole 5.
Yeah. Instead of allowing what tends to happen, which is,
Yes.
oh my God, I've seen it so many times, go in the tree and letting that take over.
Yeah.
Like to stop yourself and be like, yeah, but the past doesn't determine
Yes.
the future. And I can do it differently this time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the triathlon space. And I was in, I retired from the sport in 2019. I had the best race of my life. And I tell this story all the time, but I loved when I was on the run course at 1.5 miles. I was on Surf Drive. I look out to the right. I'm in Panama City Beach, Florida. I look out to the right. I see the ocean. I said, universe, God, whatever your beliefs are. I said, universe, I need your help. I said, either one, I place first or second in my age group, and I go to Hawaii again in 2020. Side note there.
Oh.
Or number 2, I cross the finish line to the best race of my life. Doesn't matter where I am in my placing, and I'm done with triathlons. I crossed the finish line. I knew I had the best race of my life. I asked my family, I said, where was I in my age group? They go, you were 7th. And I said, I'm done. And God answered my prayers, and I retired from the sport. And then ironically, 2020 happened and nobody was racing. So
yeah. Oh, imagine qualifying and not getting to compete.
Right. It was a mess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and then that's where I shifted into working with women, because all of a sudden, my whole world of triathlons and coaching just went away. I had 20 athletes, and then all of a sudden, bam. And I'm like, what do I start doing? Like I came to Costa Rica for the first time at the end of 2019, because I realized that, oh my God, like my 30 years of thinking triathlon and the sport, I'm stepping away. So I'm almost rebranding myself. And long story short, I had a publisher reach out to me and was like, hey, what are you doing now? We're looking for, somebody to write. And I go, well, I started working with women. And they go, oh my God, that's amazing, because we have an opportunity for you to write a book. And so in 2020, I wrote Self-Motivation Strategies for Women. And that was the kickstart of me working with women. And it's funny because I would try to step away and go back to the triathletes, and then I'd come back to women. And just this past year, I've really stepped it up, working with women with the one-on-one coaching, and then the Empower Her group coaching is brand new as well. So it's been a great journey, but it's been a beautiful journey. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And you were able to pivot so quickly, and like, look at how the universe sent a publisher to be like, write a book.
I know. Right. Exactly. And I would love to send you a copy as well. So I'll have to get your address.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Empower Her group coaching program.
Yeah. So it's brand new. It's an 8-week program. And in that program, it's me taking my book and us just going through things together as a collective. And so, I'm looking for 5 to 10 women at a time. So I launch it usually once every quarter. That's the idea. And because I don't want to oversaturate and plugging and all that stuff, but it's just us taking opportunities and focusing on the physical, the mental, the spiritual, the emotional, talking about how we help each other. So we do group calls twice a week. and we just sit and talk and just really talk about what women need to talk about, whether that's menopause, whether that's perimenopausal, that's whether it's losing a parent. Right now, I have a client that lost a child to suicide 5 years ago, and she's still struggling with that. And so it's really good for us to get together as women and really support and empower one another as well.
Yeah, absolutely. When I started, my healing journey, I started with self-help and reading books. And I did get some good results, but it's the power of community, because there's accountability, because there's the feeling of I'm not alone. You're in a collective, like it's women's circles are powerful. That's why they've been in practice for thousands of years.
Agreed.
It's not just girls getting together and having girl talk. It's a whole different thing.
Right.
It's a life transformation.
It is. And with what's been going on over the last couple of days, like going into like my one-on-one coaching and my conversations, I was like, y'all, we're not going to focus on the election. We don't need to. That's like, we can't control what the outcome was, whatever side you're on. But what I can help you do is I can control your fitness. I can help you control your nutrition, your counting, because I don't want them to go down that rabbit hole. They can do that on their own on social media. Right. But my goal for my one-on-one calls and my group coaching is, how can we be better and not be sucked in by all whatever is going on right now in the world? So the key is let's lift each other up and not be Debbie Downers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I find it's great to be informed. It's great to care. It's great to vote.
Right.
And if you want to be an activist for a cause, it's wonderful to do that. It's really good though if you feel really healthy and you're strong enough to do those things. And to do that, you need to be in your own life. If you're obsessed with an election, you're avoiding a feeling that you have, usually unsafety of some sort. It's not, you've got to be in your own life.
That is beautifully said. I might have to steal that from you. I'll give you credit, but that's beautifully said, because you have to focus on you, because your daughter, your son, your parents, they need you to be healthy and take care of yourself for them for you to take care of them.
Yeah. And so many times, because women have been, not all women, but a lot of us have been conditioned to just give, and take care of everybody else. And it never taught anything about taking care of yourself. And you hear the word self-care and you're like, our society will be like, oh, that's some weak pussy kind of nonsense. And it's like, no, if you don't eat and sleep and women are depleted, they're taking care of people and they're depleted. And so they're not doing a very good job. No. Honestly, you can't show up that well. You're going to have emotional breaks. You're going to be reactive, and you'll be projecting, and you'll think you're doing the best you can. But we don't show up well if we haven't taken care of ourselves.
Correct. And this is something that I have been told, I was told my self-care was selfish, but it's and that's coming from a man. And I'm like, excuse me? So you're telling me taking care of myself physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally is selfish because I'm not taking care of you? No. That did not. So then this is something that I tell my ladies, when I talk with the ladies that are looking to jump on with me, whether it's the one-on-one coaching or the group coaching, I always say, are you ready to invest in yourself? Because if you're not, then this program isn't for you. You have to do the work.
Yeah, if you are still in a belief cycle of, this is my gender role, be a figure, and I'm not gonna deviate from it, then you're not going to get anything out of the program.
It's so true.
You can learn through the program and get those ahas for that mindset shifts, but you have to be willing to throw out some of your old beliefs. And I think I see especially with intense Christianity, I think, all religion needs reform. Everything that we do is always in need of reform, but there's still value there. But what I see mostly with Christian women in particular is this feeling that the way it was presented to them is that women should be in subjection and that they are less, and they feel like they're betraying God if they believe something else. And it's like, you don't have to throw out your entire religion, and remember that if you're a Christian, your relationship is with Christ. It's not with your church. It shouldn't
Correct. You got it. And that's something that I have I've talked to my mom about. She's asking me all these questions, and I'm like, Mom, I talk to God way more than I would ever talk to God in a building.
Yeah.
When I'm out on that surfboard, like, I'm just like, oh my God, I love my life. Like, this is amazing. Thank you so much. This is beautiful. Even this morning, I sat there with my coffee because it's been super rainy here and it's rainy season. And so there was just 30 minutes of sun. I'm like, I gotta go out there. And so I went and grabbed my coffee, and I just felt that sun just hitting my body. And I was like, thank you, God, for this beautiful morning that I get to sit on the beach with the sun touching my skin, the waves crashing at my feet, hearing kids play, hearing dogs running around, seeing horses go by. That's just beautiful. That's more intuitive and deeper for me than going into a building.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the intensity of your gratitude, and if God created each person, it's basically because God wants to experience life in a human body, and we're all different, and so God gets to experience life through us. Wouldn't you want to give God the best possible experience?
Right.
So doing something that feels amazing, that you really love, that really inspires you into gratitude and joy, like surfing or sitting in a church in a suit, in uncomfortable clothes, and sitting still and being quiet and behaving in the right way. Is that giving God the best experience God could have?
That's so true. I never thought of it that way. It's true. He would be like, no, I want to be on that surfboard with you.
I think so.
Yeah, I love it. We totally got off on a tangent. Sorry.
Yeah. You also do one-on-one coaching, and then one of the things is helping women through major life transitions. You talked about the client that had the child that committed suicide 5 years ago, and you went through your own major life transition, getting a divorce after 18 years, moving to Costa Rica. Now you're building a container home. What has that whole journey been like?
I know it's crazy. It's been insane. It's it was a hard decision. A lot of people ask after 18 years, what happened? I asked for the divorce. I'm very transparent about it. He wanted nothing to do with that at all. We tried therapy. We went many times, and there was nothing moving. And anyways, so I ended up asking for that. And there was many times that I sat there crying, thinking, am I making the right decision? Did I do the right thing? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? And so when that was happening, I started thinking about, I lived in San Antonio, Texas. San Antonio really doesn't serve me right now, and I'm okay with that. So I thought, all right, could I live in California, Hawaii, or Costa Rica? I'm a Pacific Coast baby. I love sunsets. versus sunrises.
Mm.
And I thought, all right, I'm going to go to Costa Rica. Why not? And my family's like, but you're so far. And I'm like, farther away. I would be farther away in Hawaii. Just because I'm in a different country doesn't mean I'm farther away. So that's
Yeah.
something that, that really had to happen. So yeah. And then in 2021, I had this vision in my head. My friends took me up on this hill and you could see the ocean. You could see like the beautiful little island. I'm in a town called Samara, like Samara. So I'm on the Pacific coast, and you could see this beautiful, beautiful property. And there was this property. And I was like, oh my God, I could totally see like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath container home up here. Well, then I found out that the land was sold, and I was like, dang it, and that was in 2021. I was still married at the time. And that vision came into my head. I'm like, but that doesn't make sense. Like, I'm still married. And so I remember I was down for a yoga retreat. I was asked a company to come to do a yoga retreat with them. And I went back and I told my ex, I said, I have this crazy vision that I want to build this 2-bedroom, 2-bath container home in Costa Rica. I don't know why. And he's like, oh, like he's just like, okay, and he's like, well, we could buy something, in Port Aransas, Texas. I was like, no, that it's not. I mean, it's not it wasn't sitting. And so, like I said, I had this in my head. I didn't know why. And then it was interesting. I just saw a journal entry, February 7th. I said, this is when I was really pushing towards working with women and of this year in a different level on that one-on-one coaching. And I said, I'm working with one-on-one women. I'm working one-on-one with women for their fitness, their mindset, and their nutrition. They're all going through a major life change: menopause, perimenopausal, divorce. Empty nest syndrome is also very popular: loss of a parent, maybe a little bit of loss of themselves. So I was writing this out. I'm like, this is going to grow beautifully and naturally. And then I said, and I'm going to start building my 2-bedroom, 2-bath container home December 2024. Well, I bought land on July 4th, freedom of 2024 and I started building my container homes in end of September, beginning of October. It was actually the containers. That's right. The containers came like around October 7th. So February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, 8 months after I wrote that out in my journal.
Ah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Did you feel like it was like an intended manifestation, or if was it more of like oh, I still have this vision, like what is this about? An exploration.
Good question. It was probably an intended manifestation. I've never heard of that before, but yeah, I could see that. I could see
Yeah.
that happening. Yeah. Because I was like, because, at first I thought I wanted to do it and build this and do an Airbnb, that type of thing. And then I would, I'd go to the States for 3 months and then come back. But I actually want the space, not only for myself, but for my friends and family that want to come down. And I always think about the 4 girls that I've done beach trips with over the last, we've been friends for I don't know how many years, like those girlfriends. And we used to do a beach trip every year down to Port Aransas, Texas. And I was like, you know what? I want a home for them to all come down and we have our little beach trip down in Costa Rica. And so I think I always envision it more for my friends to get away, my friends
Yeah.
to reconnect, or just to sort of step away from life because Costa Rica helped me drastically.
Yeah, I love Costa Rica. I was there for 3 weeks in March. Yeah, end of
Were you
February,
really?
March.
What part?
Yeah. I went to Envision Festival. So
Oh my gosh, yeah.
yeah,
Down in not
Uvita,
Hako.
Uvita, I think.
Uvita, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Uvita, those sunsets are incredible. Like
Yeah.
it's like it takes your breath away, those sunsets that I saw when I was down there. I was down there in May of last year and saw that, and I fell in love with Uvita. And people have asked me, they're like, would you move elsewhere in Costa Rica? And I'm like, no, because I built a beautiful community of locals and expats here as well. So I'm very happy with, and I have a boyfriend now. And I mean, it's beautiful, it's exactly where I'm supposed to be. So
Oh, that is beautiful. I want to go
yeah.
back to something you mentioned about divorce because I just got a divorce too after 16
Okay.
years. And you
Okay.
had talked about when you question, like, am I doing the right thing? Like the tears and why am I doing this? And so,
Mhm.
I'll highlight some of the dirty thoughts that went through my head
Of
about
course.
the
Of course.
self-judgments and the
Oh yeah.
because I was having those self-judgments, then the universe reflected it back to me through
Hmm.
comments that my family made or friends or neighbors, and some of them were that I just got a divorce because I was in some kind of midlife crisis and wanted to sleep with a bunch of men, right? So
Yes.
and
Yeah.
so I questioned, is that the reason I'm really getting a divorce? And then there were
Uh-huh.
some other um, just some really deep programming from because I grew up Jehovah's Witness and
Oh,
finding that I didn't
yeah.
feel valid without a husband. Like I wasn't a valid human unless I had a husband.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then I was talking with a friend who had also gone through a divorce, and we were talking about our businesses because both entrepreneurs and we were feeling like we couldn't succeed in business without being in a partnership with a man. Like we just discovered that that was in there, and we were like,
Mhm.
where is this coming from? And she shared that he was no part of the business, and she was getting feedback from him all the time, asking him, and he knew nothing about what she was doing, but she needed
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
validation, like because
Yeah.
in a religion like Jehovah's Witness, you're taught that women should be in subjection to their husband and that he's the head of the household, and you should be asking him, he gets the last word in everything, right?
Interesting.
It was interesting
Yeah.
because I have a corporation. I'm the only shareholder, and
Yeah.
I never involved my ex-husband in my business.
Yeah.
Didn't talk with him about it, like didn't ask, didn't even when I
Yeah.
decided to quit my corporate job and start it, I decided that by myself. I didn't, you know,
You didn't ask for
ask him
his
about it.
permission.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then yet when I got divorced, I had these strange feelings come up, like my business started really struggling and
Hmm.
things were going south, and it was like the universe's way of showing me, hey, you've got this thing going on in your subconscious mind that's telling you that
Yeah.
you have to have a man to be a valid human.
Wow. That's huge.
Yeah, so
That's huge.
we have some weird stuff. So if you're a woman who's gone through a divorce and you're questioning,
Yeah.
why did I do this and did I do the right thing, and like
Hmm.
just it's just to highlight you're not alone, and these
You're not
things
alone.
come up and they're from other people putting
Deep.
thoughts into your head,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
when
Yeah. And that was something for me that I had to stop sharing what was actually happening between my ex and I because I didn't want them to judge him based off of my vision and what I saw because he may think differently. Like I wanted to protect him. Like he didn't need, and I had to put boundaries up with my family. I was like, you don't need to know what's going on. You just need to support me. That's all I'm asking. You don't need you don't need the details. You don't need the reasons why what's happening, because it's not just one thing being in a divorce. Things escalate and happen over time. It's, and that's people like, well, what's the one thing that made you guys divorce? I'm like, it's not just one thing.
Yeah.
There's so much more, and you can't really, and I think that was one thing he was confused about. Like, I don't understand. And I'm like, I've asked you so many years of your time. And then it got to a point where I started doing my own business, and then I was focusing on my own stuff. So when I was at home and he was at home working out, I was working. Like, what was I supposed to do? Like, I didn't, because he was a triathlete as well. And it just got to a point where I always say this to everybody. We did amazing jobs within our business, like my business and his career. We did an amazing job as triathletes, because he went to Kona 3 times. I went to Kona once. We did a great job with that, but we did a terrible job in our relationship.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can be nobody's awesome at everything.
It's so true. It would be great, but we're just not Wonder Woman.
Yeah. And I also, wanted the divorce, and he was confused and didn't understand. And
Yeah.
for me, it was similar. It was like I was lonely in the relationship, and there were many reasons that was also my fault, and it wasn't all his fault.
For sure. 100%. Yep.
And so I kind of had the same view of, well, I'm not going to give everybody nitty gritty details but I got so much pushback. I didn't get support from my family or friends. I was being judged and shamed and treated like I had done something wrong, to the point where I finally was like, all right, there was this going on, there was, but I was called a bad mother for leaving their dad. I had family members that projected their fear of what happened when their parents got divorced to them, and they decided that was me and my kids, and I was like, we're not doing any of that.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I heard it from my mom. My mom went through 2 divorces, and so she was projecting her fears of what happened to her onto me, and I'm like, Mom, we don't have kids. Like, this is a totally different generation. We're at a totally different generation than the baby boomers. To be honest with you, I'm impressed that my mom actually left my dad in, like, what, 78, 79? Like, that was unheard of. You just, at that point, you just sort of sucked it up and just did it. Good. I mean, so I tell her that. I'm like, Mom, I give you props, because you weren't happy. You saw, like, you knew you needed something better for your children, and you made that choice. You made that choice in the 70s.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to make that, which is so hard. Yeah.
I mean, that was when women were first starting to be allowed to have a bank account. I mean,
you're right. You're right.
We were pretty much property before that, like no rights of our own. So yeah, to do that at that time, and like for my family, generations of abuse, and to be the woman that was like, I'm not going to tolerate that. I'm going to get my kids out of this. I'm going to start changing the patterns. And that takes so much work and courage and healing. And, it's still going on a couple generations later, and it will be, which is, we can get really perfectionist about when we're that woman who decides, okay, I'm going to break this pattern. Okay, but why isn't it perfect? Why isn't it done? Well, it's a generational.
It is a generation. Yeah. It's interesting, because I still remember my grandma Fritching. So my dad's mom, she always wanted to travel and go to Scotland. That's where she was from. And my grandpa hated flying. So they would always jump on the train and go out to Vegas. That was what my grandpa did. My grandpa, worked for Chrysler. He was, like, very well known in the Chrysler space. He did very well for himself, but they would go always to Vegas. And my grandmother lost her eyesight. And I actually had a dream or a vision. I don't remember what it was, but I remember her telling me, Jenny, don't lose your vision. Don't lose your vision. And it wasn't, and it was, and I hear Jenny, because like that's what they called me, right? But it was almost like she was like, I'm taking care of you. Don't lose your vision. You know what you want.
Yeah. Mm, that gave me chills because that's like she physically lost her vision because she sacrificed, and I'm sure there was physical stuff that was going on,
For
but
sure.
she sacrificed, gave up her dream of going to Scotland, and look at how it manifested physically. Like,
yeah, you got it. You got it. And I said to myself, I don't want to be the woman sitting in the chair looking out the window and wondering what happened and why. I didn't want to repeat that pattern.
yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
that was actually my grandma peeking through the blinds at the neighbors, but never really engaging. It's like, what are you doing?
That was, I think, my grandpa, my mom's dad. He was a talker. He was that dude that would look over the fence line and be like, "What are y'all doing?" Like, yeah, he would just want to talk. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's like, get out
yeah,
there, be with the people, go do the thing you want to do.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Well, do you have any words of wisdom you want to leave
Oh,
the audience with? And then if you can tell us where to find you, or
of
either.
course. Words of wisdom. I think going back to the mindset of the brain likes to do the talking, the positive, like the angel, the devil, the angel, just sitting there talking. But your gut, your core feeling knows what you want. Chase that gut feeling. Don't listen to the brain. Don't listen to the fear mongers or the naysayers. Listen to your gut. Your gut knows the way.
I love that. Yes,
Yeah.
the body keeps the score. Yeah, we can trust our bodies. We've been taught
We
not to
can
trust our
trust our
bodies,
bodies.
but we need to be able to trust our bodies.
Yes, yes. And where you could find me, you could go to jenrulon.com. New website, fresh. I'm so excited. And you could go to social media. You could go to Instagram. You could go to TikTok. You could go to Facebook as Coach Jen Rulon, Rulon.
Awesome. And I'll put all of the links in the show notes.
Great.
And it's been amazing talking with you. Thank you for
It
being
was
here.
wonderful talking with you, Rihanna. Appreciate it.